Well, welcome everybody back to the Flying Dog House. It's time for another North Carolina cross-country flight. So we're going to pick back up. We're in Elizabeth City. We're going to make our way over to Currituck County. And then down to First Flight. Across the Sound to Manteo. And then we'll have some salt marsh flying over to Hyde County. And then we'll make our way over and across to the Outer Banks, and we'll overfly the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. And then we'll make our way to our final destination at Ocracoke. So we're going to do this in the Reims Rockett. We're going to switch over to the Sim, and we'll be sitting over on the runway. Okay, here we are at the end of the runway at Elizabeth City. And as promised, we're going to take the Reims Rockett, and we're going to have a fly down the Outer Banks of North Carolina. We're continuing on with our North Carolina cross-country tour here. I think one of the things I'll point out about the Reims Rockett here is that like a lot of planes in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, there is an issue with the brightness for the navigational aids inside the cockpit. So yeah, that's why that's so dim. At any rate, we've gotten clearance from Clarence, so let's go ahead and take off. All right, parking brake is off. And we will have at it here. So our first stop is Currituck. And then we're going to make our way over to First Flight at Kitty Hawk, one of my faves. And we're up. And climb right here. All right, about 500 feet a minute here. Let's see, winds today are 279 at 4, shifting all over the place. So. Alright, I think we're in pretty good shape. Continuing to make our climb here. We're a little bit more than a minute out. Let's jump outside. Have a look at Elizabeth City as we say goodbye. And we got back in the plane. We'll make our turn to the south. And get some more altitude here. Okay, here we go. Get ourselves going in the right direction after departure. Make our way up to Currituck. So this will take us definitely across some of the uninhabited part of the Outer Banks. They don't call most of this area the Great Swamp for no reason at all. All right, we're at about 1,500 feet here. Yeah, it looks like the compass wheel just has a mind of its own today in terms of the magenta line, but that's okay. I know where I'm going. We think, right? Now looks like our airspeed is settling out a little bit here. About anywhere between 103 and 106. And winds are 282 at 8. And we should be coming up here on Currituck. Jump outside the plane, have a broader view of the scenery here for a minute. Alright, we're pretty much going straight in here. Although we won't be naughty and land with a tailwind, so we'll do a get ourselves set up for a left-hand circuit here. All right, wind is 272 at 6. And I'll just mention it again. This is the Reims Rockett. It's freeware available on Flightsim.to. And if you're interested in a cold and dark start, deeper dive, there's a video on this aircraft on the channel. Invite you to take a look at that if you haven't seen that one. And I do fly this one quite frequently on group flights. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Still got a little bit further to go here with our downwind leg. And we've got our airspeed well managed, so I'm not going to use flaps on this touch and go. Give ourselves about another minute and a half. I think I'm going to take the plane over this island that's right here in front of us, and then we'll make our turn to base. And then we'll have our turn to final here. Okay, I think we can go ahead and start turning to base here. And jump back inside the plane. Okay. Stick my nose over the dashboard here. And I like glass cockpits, but I love old analog gauges. All right, I think we got ourselves settled out nicely here. See how much wind and turbulence we get treated to. Winds right now are 268 at 5. Okay. All right, nice and easy down, and then we'll be up and on our way again. All right, we'll make our turn here. Make our way over to Corolla. Is the upper part of the Outer Banks. Don't believe I turned on the lighthouse add-ins, but there's a very cool lighthouse located at near Duck, Currituck Light. It's brown brick with black iron hardware. Okay, so we get ready here to go back across the sound, and then we'll be out near Corolla. It's a very isolated part of the beach. There are actually wild horses that live on the Outer Banks in and around Corolla. Quite interesting to see horses on the beach and then wandering around in the maritime forest and sand dunes. We're at a good comfortable 2,000 feet altitude here. We've got a little bit of a tailwind, 284 at 5. So it gives us roughly 129 knot ground speed. There is a helipad located almost at our 12 o'clock here, several miles out. And then there's a private airstrip, which is 7 NC2. It's Pine Island. About a 3,500 foot runway. And from here we'll make our way to the south-southeast to Kitty Hawk. And I'm guessing we'll probably do another 7 legs of flights to get our way back to our final destination near Murphy. But if you have a state that you would like to suggest for us to explore, put that in the comments or add something to what is now called the post section of the YouTube channel. YouTube has changed the name of that tab from community to posts. So I'd be interested to hear what you're interested in seeing next. So it could be a state in the United States or a place that you find interesting in Europe or elsewhere. I am all ears, open to ideas. All right, so we're coming up on Pine Island like a freight train. We'll just do an overflight. I'm gonna jump outside the plane again. So it's like a nice, fun vacation spot. And again, this airport is closed to public traffic. So here we go with our overflight. Okay. Next stop, first flight. And I think what we're going to do, since we spent so much time on the channel flying into and out of first flight for a shakedown, we'll just we'll have a fly over the complex, and then we'll just go ahead and continue our route. Lots of large square footage homes located here. A few condos here and yon. Some smaller cottages as well. But this area of the Outer Banks is absolutely gorgeous. Got a little bit more ground speed going here. We're poking along. And winds currently are 278 at 10. Got a little bit of a crosswind going on here. All right, right now we're roughly between Duck and Kitty Hawk. Continue to make our way to the south. And just a quick shout out to all the new subscribers. Good to have you all along. And if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you. Got some additional first looks, cold and dark starts. Try to do some additional ones in 2024. Quite frankly, the sim has just not been very stable for me over the last 2 weeks. It's been a bit of a disappointment. To full transparency, I had to start recording this one again. Ended up doing a reboot of the PC after it crashed to desktop on me after starting my takeoff roll at Elizabeth City. So that was fun. At any rate. All right, we're coming in on first flight. And there are quite a few power lines, and there are a cell phone tower, etc., near this airfield, so we'll not drop below about 500 feet here. We've got some high power lines right underneath us at the moment. So we'll just stay where we're at. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do an overfly of the visitor center, museum, and the memorial here. So the museum is right off our 12 o'clock. And there's our cell towers. Yeah, here we go. Well, I think Microsoft did a great job handcrafting this. This is one of my favorite spots in the sim, as you might have picked up on since we've done so many of the channel videos here. All right, here we go. Right over the flight path for flights 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And this will put the memorial over off our 9 o'clock. There we go. Nice flyby there. And we'll get back to aviating here. Okay, so next up is Dare County. And I have pointed this out on previous flights as well. We'll make our way over there. It's Dare County Regional. Well, lots of fun things to do here in on the Outer Banks. And for those who haven't seen videos on this channel, I usually mention boating and fishing and jet skiing and charter fishing boats and hang gliding at Jockey's Ridge State Park, the very large sand dune here. If you haven't done hang gliding, that's quite a fun experience. And here we go. Here's Dare County in front of us. Here we go. All right, we're at about 97 knots ground speed here, 94 airspeed, wind 285 at 6. And again, just speed up the route. I'm not going to do a touch and go here. To give you a good idea of what this airport looks like. Several runways here to choose from. That's a private and charter traffic out of here. And I'm sure there's probably some sign towing going on as well. For all those folks who are basking in the sun on the beach. Anyway, this is not handcrafted, but it's, you know, it's still fun. Okay. Moving right along, we're taking a little bit of a different route. We're on our way now to Hyde County. This will take us over one of the longest bridges in North Carolina. Goes from Manteo over to a little town called Whalebone, and then Nag's Head. That might be a fun Google search for you. Makes for a great beach t-shirt. Alright, so we're making our way across the Pamlico Sound. And this is the Virginia Dare Bridge, which connects back across to the mainland. The plus side of going to the North Carolina Outer Banks is the scenery. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a very, very unique geography. The downside is it's a long drive, even from within, the state. It takes a minute to get here, but it is worth it. All right, we're about 20 miles out now from Hyde County. Thought it might be interesting to visit this airfield and take in some of this scenery. Typically, when I have done flights on the Outer Banks, I have actually followed the outer band and flown over some of the little towns on the on Hatteras Island. We're in the Sound here, and we'll fly over some salt marsh. Guess we can give ourselves some more airspeed here. Continue to make our way lots of seagrass. I believe the ICAO code for Hyde is 7W6. Yeah, that's 7W6. 7 Whiskey 6. And from Hyde County, we'll make our way back across to the Outer Banks, and we will call it a day at Ocracoke. There's an interesting little village. Home port of Blackbeard the Pirate, so there's another interesting Google search for you to explore at your leisure. And Blackbeard's main ship was named the Queen Anne's Revenge. And quite a few pirates operating in and out and around North Carolina. Henry Avery being another. Quite interesting pirate flag, the Henry Avery. It's red with a white pirate skull, complete with an earring. Henry Avery had an attitude. And red flags are cool. Sort of. Oh, there's an inside joke for one of my channel viewers. One thing is for certain is that Blackbeard was no joke. He was not messing around. All right, we can jump outside the plane here again, get ourselves on a good solid bearing over here to Hyde. Be coming up on it soon. And this area of wilderness that we're flying over is actually a designated bombing range. So I am just skirting the edge of it. Well, we'll play nice. I'll turn and stay away from it. We'll just go right down the edge. Give ourselves another few minutes on this heading, and then we can turn to the southwest and make our way over to Hyde. All right, as far as the Reims Rockett is concerned, I will drop a download link in the description of the video, so if you don't already have it, it's freeware available over on Flightsim.to. Quite fun, and there are several liveries that are out there that are available for the Rocket. This is a 172 variant. All right, we're close enough to the boundary. We'll go ahead and make a little bit better turn over here toward the airfield. Put ourselves on a right hand base. And the runway at Hyde is 4,699 feet. we have plenty of room. And we're in reasonable shape here with our altitude. I'll start slowing up a little bit. I am looking forward to this avionics brightness fix. It's quite aggravating. It's definitely an immersion breaker, that's for sure. But I've seen that in lots of aircraft that were developed originally for 2020. A few more miles to go here. I guess we can jump back outside the plane again. All right, wind check 299 at 5. All right, we'll make our way in across this point. And there's a little cove ahead of us that we'll turn in on to start our final approach. Right, there we go. We've got the airfield in sight. Make our way over a little further. And then we will make our way back across the Pamlico Sound over to Ocracoke. There's a very cool lighthouse and keeper's house located at Ocracoke. I believe the keeper's house is now a bed and breakfast. It's quite a charming lighthouse. And the whole village of Ocracoke is just worth the trip. Alrighty. Get ourselves set up here. Bleed off some airspeed. I am going to use some flap coming in here. We're at 800 feet. 750. 700. 650. 600. 550. 500. 450. 400. 300. 200. All right. Lovely trees. All right. Put us just about at the touchdown point here. There we go. A little bouncy, but that's okay. Get flaps back up. We'll make our turn. All right, so we got about 28 more nautical miles. And if you love ocean, this will be very scenic. Oh, it's actually a sound. So it is salt water. Lots of fishing opportunities here. All right. We're making our way. And we'll climb out to about 2,000 feet. Maybe we'll get lucky and we won't have a crash the desktop between now and another 20 miles. On our next leg of the journey, we will go from Ocracoke and we'll go down fly over the top of Cape Lookout National Seashore, make our way over to Morehead City. We'll do Cherry Point. Since we're so close, we'll also do Newbern. And that might be our next leg's stopping point, would be Newbern, which was the original colonial capital of North Carolina. It's quite a charming place. And if you are a soft drink drinker, it's also the birthplace of Pepsi Cola. It was developed by a pharmacist in Newbern. And you can visit the original location, grab a Pepsi and some popcorn, and visit their gift shop. But it is definitely a cool attraction. So was the governor's mansion. You know, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a divert here. Since we're so close. We'll make our way over to the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. It's also built into the sim, so there's no add-in for that. Well, there are add-ins for it, but if you grab an add-in for the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, you'll have two buildings on your screen, so that's not recommended. Anyway, this will be a small and quick diversion here. Cape Hatteras and Ocracoke are not far apart as far as time is concerned if you're in an aircraft. All right, we're about 3,500 feet here. We'll definitely drop down as we get closer. The beach near the lighthouse is just absolutely stunning. Excuse me. This is a very, very large body of water. All right, we're probably about 10 miles out now from the lighthouse. Maybe outside the aircraft will give a good perspective here too. All right, we're probably about 3.5, 4 miles out now. All right. Another two or 3 minutes, we should be getting a glimpse of the lighthouse. And there's boating space to our right for fishing boats and yachts and such. Yeah, I've got a glimpse now of the silhouette of the lighthouse here. We'll sneak up on it from this direction. I think of all of the lighthouses that are located on the North Carolina coast, this one's probably the one that's the most iconic. And it was also relocated from its original location to keep it from falling into the Atlantic. And I'll try to overfly the path that they used to move the lighthouse. I don't remember the exact distance, but it's a fair bit. And you can see the path that they took. And the lighthouse was moved freestanding on its foundation. All right, let's slow up here. And we can jump outside the plane. And we can zoom in. So there's the lighthouse. So it's got that nice candy stripe, black and white. All right, so here we go where the parking lot is, back over toward the Atlantic. This will be the path that they used to move the lighthouse. And the original location of the lighthouse would have been somewhere about here. So there was a historical society that led the way in terms of rescuing the lighthouse. And lots of marvelous engineering work. If you want an interesting read, you can do a Google search on Our State magazine, and there is a in-depth article about all of the lighthouses that are located in North Carolina. And they all have their own unique story to tell. So I won't let the cat out of the bag with that. All right. Make our way south about 23 nautical miles, and then we will land at Ocracoke. And as I mentioned, this is probably some of the most beautiful Atlantic coast beach that you're going to experience. And lots of people fishing from the shoreline here. Okay, here we go. Okay, the Ocracoke Island is the next island up, just across this next inlet. Yeah, we're probably about 10 minutes out. We are also coming up on an airfield that's operated by, I believe it's the North Carolina Park Service. It's Billy Mitchell Field. Named after Brigadier General / Colonel Billy Mitchell from her early military aviation history here in the U.S. And he was quite outspoken in his support of the use of air power, and ended up getting into a power struggle and was subsequently court-martialed. Definitely a key figure in aviation history. So if you're interested in that, there's another Google opportunity for you. If you're interested. In Flight Sim 2024, there are a couple of accessible helipads here too. So if you like flying helicopters, that opportunity is there for you. Okay, so runways 24 and 06. So we'll come in on 24. That'll give us roughly a straight on wind. We got winds at like 280 at 5 knots. So crosswind here today is manageable for this 172. So and we'll want to make our approach here not from the Atlantic side. We'll go over here into the Pamlico. And I'm feeling good about our altitude here for our approach in. Speed is reasonable, but I am going to go ahead and start slowing down. Now we're near the location of a U.S. Coast Guard station. All right, we're almost across the inlet. And there is a passenger ferry that runs from Hatteras to Ocracoke, if you were curious in terms of how do you get your car onto the last part of North Carolina Highway 12, which runs up and down the North Carolina Outer Banks. It's by ferry, so those are scheduled. And this is obviously not a place to be during a major hurricane. So from time to time the area gets evacuated, but you don't really have full appreciation of just how narrow and fragile these barrier islands are until you're actually here and get a sense for just how close you are to not only the Atlantic but also the Pamlico Sound to our right. All right, the runway at Ocracoke is less than 3,000 feet. Look and see what it is. It's 2,972 feet. Oh. We'll get a nice managed descent and manage our airspeed too, so that we're not having to futz around with all of the things on final. We'll get ourselves set up here for a good approach. I think for the next leg of this trip, we're going to use the Cessna Station Air, and we'll use that to fly over to Newbern. The Friendly Skies station wagon. Anyway, I have a specific aircraft in mind for that, so there'll be a download link for that aircraft as well. Okay, we'll get ourselves set up here. Looks like we've got good airspeed for flaps deployment. I'm going to go ahead and drop to 8 degrees of flap here. And I'm just getting myself set up nice and early. And I do have airfield in sight. It's roughly at our 11 o'clock. Yeah, it looks like wind is just bouncing all over the place. 272 at 6. 282 at 5. All right, we're about 3 miles out now. And this is actually Highway 12 below us. And there she is. Looks like we got some graphical artifacts going on here with the airport. That's interesting. It's like they didn't quite get the runway in the right spot. Oh, there we go. Other than that distraction. Welcome to Ocracoke. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it here. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Love to have you as a channel subscriber. And we will continue here with a departure flight from Ocracoke over to New Bern as we continue this North Carolina cross-country tour. Thanks for joining along on the flight today. I hope everybody is keeping well. And until next time, as always, cheers, y'all.